The sports generals are on patrol. Welcome to today's show. My co-host Jason, the official host of Manalix, as usual, will be here shortly. He's just getting things set up. In the meantime, we actually have a new addition to the sports generals. So welcome my friend. We call him C-Boss. He has his own gaming channel, C-Boss Gaming. But he is an avid sports fan, so he knows what he's talking about. And let's welcome him in now. Whoops, there we go.
Hi, guys.
So, and Jason's going to be joining in shortly. I love that you went with the full Browns outfit.
It's very cold in my apartment. That's why I have the jacket on. And I don't want to turn my air conditioning off because then it'll get super hot. And I'd rather add layers than subtract.
Fair enough. Well, trust me, this is a sports show. We're not going to start talking about apartments and air conditioning and all that. No.
This is all about sports.
Yes. But this is the way we usually do things on the Sports Generals. We joke around a little bit to start the show, and then we get deep into it. So,
Yep.
Kyler Murray, what did you think of that whole thing? Signs this contract extension, but then
But now he's got to watch film.
Yeah, there's this little stipulation that the Cardinals slipped in where he's required to watch film.
Which I understand. Like, you want your quarterback to watch film and get an understanding of the opponent that's upcoming. But the fact that they are putting it in his contract and that stipulation was made public just shows that Kyler Murray isn't exactly as responsible of a quarterback as the fans thought he was.
Yeah, that's true. And they're good. Arizona's going to know, like, if Kyler is lying about whether he watched film or not. I believe the Raiders did the same type of thing with Jamarcus Russell.
Yes. At some point, he wasn't watching film to the point where, at one point, his head coach handed him a blank DVD that they told him was hours upon hours of game film and told him to go watch it. And when he came back after watching it, he said, okay, I get an understanding of what everything was. The CD was blank. So he wasn't watching film.
All right. Well, we got the third member of the team here. He is the official host of Manalix as usual. There you are. Where are you today?
Hey, I'm at my normal Scorchers.
Hey,
what's going on, gentlemen?
Wait.
How are you doing?
Man, hey, I'm hanging in there.
Jay, with you, I feel like sometimes I'm playing Where's Waldo? Because it's like, where's Jason going to show up this week?
It's like that. It's like kicking it with Kenny, man. One day I'm here, next day I'm somewhere else.
Exactly. So we were just talking about the whole Kyler Murray thing. Have you ever heard of this before, where a team actually put in a stipulation or whatever word you want to use, where it's like you are required to watch film? Have you ever heard of that before?
I've never heard of that before. For one, that's part of your job as a quarterback. You're supposed to watch film. No one should have to tell you that, okay, by the way, in your contract, it states that you must look at film or you must study the opposing team. You must know what the opposing team's weaknesses is, tendencies. No one's supposed to tell you that. It's like one of those things where you know it. Just like if you go to college, we know you have to study. No one has to tell you got to study. So you leave high school and go to college, you have to study. And same thing here.
Yeah.
And then also the fact that this stipulation was made public just shows to the fans, like I was saying earlier with Josh, that maybe Kyler isn't as responsible as once thought as a quarterback.
That's exactly how it looks. You think that he would be taking this serious, right? But it seems like he has this type of arrogancy, right? He's extremely arrogant. He knows that he has the gift, the tools, the tangibles to be successful, but do he want to take it to the next level? Do he want to go from being good to being great? And there's a straight drop off from the greats and the goods. Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady probably looking at film probably about 12 hours a day till his wife tell him, okay, why don't you cut that off and come lay down? But he's always he's always looking at film, and that's something you don't have to tell him. So it makes me scratch my head at him, gentlemen.
Yeah, it really does. I just pulled up an ESPN article about this. I'll give you this. Not going to read you the whole article, obviously, but I found this paragraph particularly interesting. It says, according to the contract, Murray will need to study material provided to him by the club in order to prepare for the club's next upcoming game. Murray will receive credit for completing his film study according to the contract. However, the addendum, because that's the official term, I guess, states the time that Murray spends in mandatory meetings studying studying does not count, and that Murray also won't receive credit if he does not personally study the provided material in good faith.
Amazing.
That
I mean,
yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
yeah, man. Like, what are
It also says, the addendum also states that Murray will not get credit if he's not studying or watching the material while it plays on his tablet, or if he's doing something else that can distract him or draw his attention elsewhere while the material is playing, such as playing video games, watching TV, or browsing the internet?
it's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate that we're even having this discussion, right? That
Yeah,
you need to be a professional. You need to do these things to be successful. And what are we talking about here?
and we're talking
Yeah.
about a quarterback that we thought was, you know, a mature, responsible quarterback, and it turns out this whole time he hasn't been watching film, and they're putting in his contract that now he has to.
It's crazy,
Right.
man.
Like, how does this reflect on, maybe this is a bit of a stretch to say, but how does this reflect on on Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma? Because Lincoln Riley was the head coach for Kyler while he was at Oklahoma. So does this reflect negatively on?
And also, are there other Oklahoma quarterbacks that haven't exactly been watching film, i.e., Baker Mayfield?
That's interesting.
So what do you so what do you think? Does this reflect poorly on Lincoln Riley?
Well, I wouldn't say that because he's one of the best. Um, he's one of the best offensive minds in football for college football, right?
Yeah.
So, saying that is he's the problem, I would not at all say that. He's probably taught them, but it comes down to the individual, man. You have
Yeah,
to be
I'm
willing to put that
putting
work
I'm
in.
putting this squarely on Kyler. He needs if you want to be a top tier quarterback in the NFL, you gotta have the maturity to be able to watch film on your own without anyone needing to tell you that you got to do that.
Got to.
Right. I do understand that. I'm if I were to put any type of blame on Lincoln Riley for this situation, it would be a very small amount. So it's not like I'm going to put, like, if I were to put a percentage on it, for example, I would say Kyler gets 80% and Lincoln Riley maybe gets 20% at most. So again, not a huge amount. But
Yeah.
But like the reason I would put a little bit of blame on Lincoln Riley for this is because, when you're in college, you should be studying film as well. Like if Oklahoma's getting ready to play in Bedlam, for example, against Oklahoma State, because Oklahoma State's their biggest rival. Duh, they share the state, but whatever. It's like Kyler should know what blitz Oklahoma State's going to run on 3rd and 15, for example, or like Kyler should know, like if Oklahoma State's in a 3-4 zone defense, for example, we should run plays XYZ type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
But again, guys, it's like, okay, if you are, you can't blame the coach for study habits, right? And I don't know. I don't
It
think
does come down to the individual.
it
Because
does. It's all in
if
you.
you have a poor studying habit in high school or college, are you going to blame that on your teachers? No, that's on you for having poor study habits.
Exactly. I totally agree.
I do hear you on that one, 100%. So, but I just thought it was, an interesting aspect. I feel like somebody's going to make that argument, so I might as well be the first on that.
That is an interesting take.
Yeah.
Also, in today's football news, free agent former Pro Bowl wide receiver and free agent Julio Jones has found a home with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Right. Interesting, right? It's like, okay, of all teams, you decide to go there, huh?
So what I'm thinking this is not a path for Julio to get back to where he once was, but a path this is basically his, how do I put it, last chance to really show himself as a wide receiver, because he's past his prime. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 2-3 seasons he calls it quits.
Yeah, he's at that stage, man. I mean, honestly, last year he, of course, was bitten by the injury bug like he normally is the last few seasons. But for two, I think it's over with for him, man. I mean, he's still a Hall of Famer, so he is a future Hall of Famer, and I'm not going to take that away from him. But as far as expecting all-star perennial, 105 catches, 15 touchdowns a season, Julio, that's not happening no more.
No,
I mean, even Tom Brady couldn't force that to happen.
Absolutely.
And here's the thing with that, Chris. Chris, you just brought that up with Tom Brady. He's gonna try and develop that chemistry with Julio early in the season. But think about this: if they have to possibly depend on Julio Jones late in the season and have him be a prominent part of their offense, that's an issue, I think, for Tampa Bay.
Absolutely.
Are you saying if Chris Godwin or Mike Evans goes down with injury?
Correct.
I see where you're coming from.
Because we know Chris Godwin, he's coming back from I believe it was a torn ACL, if I remember correctly.
That is, I believe that is correct.
So, he's not going to be 100% right away. Nobody ever is 100% coming off a torn ACL. It usually takes them a season or two to get back to where they are.
Unless you're Kevin Durant in 2015-16.
Yeah, it's still an uphill battle, though, regardless.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But, like, my overall point still is, like, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin need to be the primary wide receivers on that team. Like, for example, Chris and I are in a fantasy football league. You know, if I'm going to draft a wide receiver from Tampa in the first round, I'm not going to go for Julio Jones.
Are you going to go for Mike Evans or Chris Godwin is the question.
Well, if I'm basing it off of just this season alone, which is basically what you do for fantasy football since it's
right.
a season at a time, I would go for Mike Evans because, again, I don't know if Chris Godwin's going to be able to get back to where he was last year.
Right.
And as I was saying, you don't want Julio to be the prominent receiver. Appears Jason's having a few technical issues. Hopefully he'll be back on shortly, but we march on here on the Sports Generals. So, speaking of wide receivers, DK Metcalf is surprisingly staying in Seattle.
I don't know if that's a good idea given, who's going to be throwing to him. He's definitely going to see a decrease in statistics.
Yes. It is a 3-year, $72 million contract extension that includes $58.2 million guaranteed.
Wow. I mean, hey, he's making that money, but on the offhand, he's getting thrown to by Geno Smith and Drew Lock.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that he didn't take the route of A.J. Brown and Deebo Samuel. Granted, Deebo hasn't been traded yet. I'll admit that. But, like,
I'm gonna say something a little bit. I'm going against the grain here when I'm talking about Deebo. I don't think he gets traded. I think he's just holding out until San Francisco trades Jimmy, and then they're gonna give Deebo a big extension. But the issue is nobody wants Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, Seattle doesn't want him. They're clear. If it's not obvious they're tanking to try and get Bryce Young, somebody needs a new pair of glasses with an upgraded prescription or something, because that's clearly what Seattle is doing.
Of course. Seattle's no longer trying to win. They made it clear that by trading Russell Wilson to the Broncos for Drew Lock.
Correct. And a bunch of other picks and stuff as well. And then they also let go of Bobby Wagner.
Where is he free agent or did they trade him?
He signed with the Super Bowl champions.
Oh, that's right. He signed with the Rams. That team is going to be a tough one to beat, even without Odell Beckham Jr. because we still don't know where he's going.
Yep, and Jason is back. We were just talking about DK Metcalf.
Technical issues.
Yep. Hey, we were just discussing DK Metcalf's new contract with Seattle.
3 years, $72 million. 58.
How much was guaranteed?
58.2.
Oh wow, yeah. I'm just surprised that he'd stay, given who his quarterbacks are.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they could pay him the most, given the market and how late in the off season we are, but he's worth it. I mean, given the production that he puts out.
For sure.
Yeah,
although he is going to see a dip in that production if Drew Lock is the confirmed Week 1 starter. I don't quite trust Drew Lock. I don't think I ever did, but
or Geno.
I'd say Geno's at least a bit better. When Russell Wilson went down last year with injury, Geno Smith was at least somewhat decent,
Yeah,
which
but they
is a
still got
lot better.
situation.
Oh yeah. I feel bad for Pete Carroll on what he's going to have to deal with this season.
I mean, I said this right before you came back on. If it's not clear that Seattle is tanking for Bryce Young, then somebody needs to go to the eye doctor and get a new prescription. Because
it's clear as day that they're not trying to be competitive. They've given up their competitive acumen.
Exactly. Why do you think they trade Russell Wilson? Why do you think they let go of Bobby Wagner?
They're definitely in a rebuild stage for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So, with that being the case, we know the reputation in Seattle with the 12th man and all that and how loud they are. Do you think that the crowd, with Seattle going through this rebuild and all that, will the 12th man still be as prominent?
It's always prominent. I mean, if you think about it, home field advantage in general, that's always going to help you. It's always going to help those middle of the road players, those, the Jimmys and the Joes, the just got on by the neck of my skin type players that just got on versus first or second rounders. It always helps you, right? But at the end of the day, you're professional. And regardless of who the home crowd is, you could still have to perform at a high level regardless.
You can't just skate by because you think that the crowd will help you win. You have to do it. You have to go out there and still put on a show. And yeah.
It's interesting that we're talking about Seattle and crowd noise and all that. Jason, you and I have talked about like the affecting of crowd noise and stuff before on the show. In recent years, when Seattle was at their height of like seemingly being in the NFC Championship every year and being in the Super Bowl, 2 times in a row, we all know what happened in Super Bowl 49 with Russell Wilson making the stupid pass, but whatever. That's not.
I don't think the pass was stupid.
Man.
I just think that Malcolm Butler just happened to be in the right position and right timing to make the interception, which was smart on him for, I think, a second or third year player.
I think that's actually more accurate. I shouldn't have said stupid play because, my philosophy on that whole thing, I'll get back to my main point in a minute. But my whole philosophy with that play was that Seattle was probably expecting New England to be in some sort of run-stop defense. So they're like, okay, let's try a passing play. And I think 9 times out of 10, that pass actually gets completed. It was just the one time it just so happened to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, hey, he ran the play he was told to run by management. Of course, if you have Marshawn Lynch just killing the entire game, give him the ball, get that Super Bowl win. It's really a no-brainer, but he did what he was supposed to do.
If you're expecting a run defense, throw it to the outside, and then because 9 times out of 10, Marshawn Lynch could break any tackler New England has to offer.
Easily.
Right. Okay, so getting back to my main point, like when Seattle was at their peak during that time, they were in a fight with Arrowhead Stadium for loudest crowd noise. Like it seemed like they were, whenever Kansas City would set the record, Seattle the very next week would break the record for most decibels produced by an outdoor stadium. It seemed like a back and forth type thing.
I mean, Seattle's fan base was so loud that in a Super Bowl in New York, they threw Peyton freaking Manning off his game.
Yes. So I was actually trying to make an argument. Like, I know rivalries are typically like 2 teams hate each other, whatever. But
what about 2 fan bases that don't necessarily hate each other, but are competing for a record.
You picked up right where I was going without me even saying it.
But you professional. Hey, at the end of the day, regardless how loud that crowd is, you're a true professional. And
Yes.
the pros like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning's, yeah, it might catch them off guard at the beginning, but they adapt to it. They go off a silent, probably a silent snap, something, but they adjust and make those adaptations, and that's part of being a
Yeah.
pro. And Kyler Murray, if you're not watching film and if you're not looking into things like that, you're not going to get that part.
Yeah.
It's just going to be another Jamarcus Russell situation.
Unfortunately.
Exactly. Hey, speaking of Arizona Cardinals quarterbacks, the Browns signed one, Josh Rosen.
Yep. 9 mistakes were made ahead of him, but were they really, though?
Yeah, it's like, who is the mistake?
At this point, no.
I think that he never got a proper chance
In Arizona.
Well, because they gave him 1 year, and he didn't exactly have the best head coach.
He did get
And
4 chances, though, four different organizations.
that is true.
Right.
Like, it always seemed like he would never be given that chance. But could Cleveland be the fresh start he needs?
Well,
maybe.
I mean, he's not going to be the starting quarterback, even if Deshaun Watson is suspended, which I would love to know the answer to that, because we're already in training camp. Like, the season,
right.
it's the end of July. Preseason's going to start soon. We have
the most I'm hearing is 4 to 6 games. I doubt they would give him a whole year.
Jose, sorry you got cut off, but Jose Ramirez just hit a home run in the top of the 4th inning. Guardians lead the Red Sox 1-0.
I heard about Naylor's homer last night, and I gotta say, hey,
that's 2 in a row.
Come back from an injury. Yeah.
2 in a row. Let's keep it 3.
Guardians are trying to take 3 out of 4 against the Boston Red Sox in Fenway. Red Sox would still win the season series because they swept the Guardians in Cleveland, and then they won the first game of this series, so that gave them the edge.
It felt like they owned them.
Yeah, Chris and I were at the 3rd game against the Red Sox when it was here in Cleveland. Boston won 8-3, I think it was.
Yeah, and we got dumped on pretty hard by the rain too.
Yeah, and the interesting thing with that game was I don't think there was a single home run.
Nope, I didn't see one, and we were sitting in a home run section.
Yeah, we were.
Hey, that's real baseball though. That's put bunts, stealing bases, singles, doubles. That's the true essence of baseball. That I know the typical viewer that don't watch baseball, they just want to see home runs and that's it. But no, it's all about strategy, and that probably was a beautiful game to watch.
Oh my God, it was fantastic. Except that we lost. Yes,
correct. Yes,
but like, given the fact that there were no home runs and it was all based on singles, walks, doubles, I think there may have been a triple, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and watch highlights.
But the game was a fantastic piece of like baseball without a home run. It's incredible.
Yeah. That's the interesting thing, though. Like, going back to football is you think about it, like, the guys in the NFL wear helmets and stuff, right? So during the game, you don't see their faces. Yet Patrick Mahomes is like one of the most famous NFL players currently, right? Justin Herbert. I don't know if famous is the right word. I'll say most popular. I'll say it like that.
He is definitely. If there was like a most popular athlete award for the NFL, like there is for NASCAR with the most popular driver, I think Mahomes would be winning it.
But like you have Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Devontae Adams, Travis Kelce, Josh Allen. I could go on and on. Like, all these guys are recognizable, and we know who they are. You know, I don't feel like we have that same type of thing in Major League Baseball,
It's
even though
true.
we see their faces. Like, we know.
Baseball.
Like, I
That's true.
think like
Baseball do a poor job. They do an absolute poor
they don't
job of
market
marketing
their
their players.
players.
Yeah.
They don't, and that's the sad part. Is like
Mm.
you're supposed to be America's pastime, and you're not marketing your athletes as anything more than athletes.
If we
Right.
did a poll, if I walked on the street and asked 5 people who Mike Trout was, they probably would give me 5 different answers. And that's a slap in the face to Major League Baseball because they do
Because
a poor
he's
job
right
of
now
marketing.
their most popular player.
Yeah,
I'd say Mike
absolutely.
Trout is the best player or one of the most valuable players in baseball, even though
Judge.
the Rockies manager said it was Jose Ramirez.
Aaron Judge, I mean, they got the players.
Aaron
They
Judge,
just ain't, yeah, they ain't marketing them.
Right.
yeah,
No,
especially Aaron Judge, since he's like up and coming, he's a real stud for the Yankees. He's like their first real stud since I'd say A-Rod and Jeter.
yeah. And, Jay, you mentioned, like, if you interviewed 5 people asking, do you know who Mike Trout is, you would get 5 different answers. I bet if you did that same thing and said, do you know who Patrick Mahomes is, they would all know, right? Wouldn't you agree on that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
Now
you could even
it's also about baseball marketing. Not only is it that baseball is not marketing their players, but then commercials, right? Because that's how you know Pat Mahomes, the
that's how you
Mahomes
know,
discount stuff like that.
yeah, the Patrick Price, State Farm, all that. And
Patrick
it's the same
Price,
thing in the
right.
NBA. Like the commercials featuring all those NBA players, you had that Subway commercial with Steph Curry, and Steph Curry has a bunch of other commercials. That Dwayne Wade Gatorade commercial from when LeBron was with the Heat. You had all those commercials with all those NBA players, and you can't do that with baseball.
Right. Like
I've even
It's a
seen,
blown opportunity, man.
I've even seen commercials for hockey players.
how many commercials have we seen Shaq in? Like,
Let's see. There's Icy Hot, The General.
It's a slew of them.
Oh yeah, no,
It's a slew of them. Yeah.
Right.
Shaq's more than just a basketball player, though. He's a personality because he does that work with NBA on TNT. He has his own brand. His son is in the NBA now, I believe, with the Lakers.
That sounds right, but
Sharif O'Neal, yeah.
yeah, but still, like, my point is, like, I get it. Shaq's bigger than life. I totally get that, both in real life and metaphorically, or whatever the term is. I get confused about that. You know what?
He's bigger than basketball.
But think about this though. Okay, we have Francisco, right?
Francisco Lindor, yep.
He's one of the most personality-friendly players in baseball, and yet I'm sure that the general public is not even aware who that guy is. And it's like you got guys like him. You have the personalities. It's just up to Roger Manfield to market your guys.
Yeah,
yeah.
Not just Rob Manfred, though. For those of you who don't know, he is the commissioner of Major League Baseball. But it's up to the clubs too. Like, the Angels have.
In general.
Yeah, the Angels have Shohei Ohtani, who's people are calling like the Japanese Babe Ruth because he's pitching and hitting.
That's my guy. That's my guy.
He is something. He is the future of Major League Baseball. I'm telling you that.
Right.
He is better than what Babe. And it's the most unpopular, hot take you might want to call it. He's gonna kill Babe Ruth's records.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
It depends on if he stays with the Angels or not, because right now Anaheim's not in position to go to the World Series or anything like that. Like, they are wasting Mike Trout's prime right now.
Man, listen, yeah, they is. They
I
is.
mean, they've been doing that since his prime started.
But
They need to build around him and Shohei Ohtani. But the unfortunate fact is, I don't think they got the money for that.
No,
Because
they
they're
got the
putting
money.
all their eggs into just the Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout baskets and just not doing anything else.
but
But those
It's
are
like
their
Oakland.
homegrown guys, though, too. So,
yeah.
Well,
you
yeah.
know, yeah, they
Like they're
they got the
thinking
money.
that they could just go strictly through the draft to get talent, which is a risk. But it could also net you great reward. But again, is the reward really worth is the reward of one generational talent worth the risk of 30 or 40 busts?
I mean,
Built through
Not
the draft.
necessarily.
right. And in general, we've seen this in the NBA predominantly as of now. Like, the Milwaukee Bucks were an anomaly. Like, when they won their championship, they basically only had Giannis. Like, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, Bobby Portis, PJ Tucker, they were nice complementary players. But Milwaukee didn't have that second star player. You know, like with Golden State this season, Draymond is still a star. Klay Thompson, superstar. Steph Curry, megastar. You know, when the Cavs won their championship, they had Kyrie, who is a star. What Even with all of his antics and all that, he's still a star player. And of course, they had LeBron.
And Kevin Love, who at the time was a star. Not so much anymore, but at the time we won our championship, that was the big three to steal what Miami had going on.
Right. But that's my overall point is
Kyrie was the Dwayne Wade, LeBron James was LeBron, and Kevin Love was that Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh was always seen as the third wheel to LeBron and Wade's success.
But that's my overall point, though, is like,
yeah, what the Bucks did was just, I don't think that any team in the NBA could ever repeat that. Like, everyone touts Jordan as like, yeah, no, Jordan could take any team and win a championship with them. Nah. I mean, we saw Jordan without Pippen and how, he couldn't make it out of the first round. He couldn't make it past those bad boys Pistons. And he needed Pippen to put him over into, getting his first three-peat.
But they got to the second round, and then they would get bounced by the Pistons. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I follow you. It's just a matter of you got to have that growth.
Support. You got to have supporting pieces.
You got to go through it. You got to go through it.
Right. And Chris, on your point of like, you don't think anybody's going to do it again with one player. Before the Bucks did in 2021, Toronto did it just 2 years earlier with Kawhi. Like,
you could make a case for Pascal Siakam and Kyle Lowry being those big supporting pieces to Kawhi Leonard's success, but let's be real here. The reason that the Raptors won was because Golden State wasn't healthy. And that's coming from someone who's been a huge Raptors fan since Vinsanity, since Vince Carter. And I'm saying that the Raptors should not have won in 2019, or the Raptors would not have won if Golden State had Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson at full health.
Oh, if Golden State was fully healthy in that year, I think Toronto maybe wins a game in that series.
I don't even think you can make a case for them to win a game.
Right. But I hear what you're saying about Pascal Siakam and Kyle Lowry, but it's hard. It's hard for me to put those two like in the star player category.
That's why I'm saying they're more of a supporting role, like Kevin Love, like Chris Bosh.
Right. That's why I'm saying, like, Toronto basically did what Milwaukee did in 2021 back in 2019 with the one player and just a bunch of nice complementary pieces.
Right. But I actually think nowadays Pascal Siakam is considered at least a star.
He's good. He's good. He ain't got the clutch gene though. I've seen multiple times where he had the free throw line, missed those 10 seconds left in the game, and he missing those shots. He missed a jumper, and he just already got 36. I don't think he got that gene at all.
Yeah, I don't know if
he does have stuff that he still needs to work on, but that's the good thing. He's still young. He can still work on his game before, before he reaches his true prime.
Right. And the thing too is, like, here's the other reason I don't put Pascal Siakam in that star player category. Even in the star player category, I get it. There are tiers to it, like tier 3, tier 2, tier 1. If you want to make a tier 4 and tier 5, you can do that. I don't care. But so I do get that. But for me, Siakam doesn't have that killer instinct where it's like the game is tied 99-99 with like a minute and a half to go type thing. And it's like the Raptors need a bucket right here, right now.
He shrinks up.
I don't see Siakam like, give me the damn ball and get out of my way.
Yeah.
He shrinks.
Whereas, like, for example, in that same situation, Giannis is going to be like, give me the damn ball and get the hell out of my way.
Kawhi Leonard is exactly the same way. You could, in any situation, like, if I need a bucket and Kawhi Leonard's on that court, and I'm a point guard, I'm an average point guard, and I've got Kawhi Leonard wide open to my left, and say Pascal Siakam wide open to my right, who do you think I'm giving the ball to? I'm giving it to Kawhi.
That's no-brainer. That's no-brainer.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Again, I'm not trying to compare Siakam to Giannis directly, but it's that same thing.
Right.
When Kobe was still around, rest in peace.
Oh yeah.
Like if the Lakers,
if you don't pass the ball to Kobe in his prime, he's gonna look at you like you are a psychopath.
Exactly. Like if the game, again, I'll give you the same scenario. Game is tied 99-99. Minute to go. It's Kobe's gonna be like, give me the damn ball, get out of my way. I'm putting our team on my back. Dwayne Wade, you could even make an argument, would do the same thing.
I think Dwayne Wade before the Big Three's breakup is the biggest case for that.
Right, but however, whatever.
And Ray Allen, of course.
Ray Allen's debatable on that one because
if we're gonna make an argument for the current players today that has that clutch gene, it's Luka the Don. Period. And Luke, not only will Luka make those shots, he'll command those double teams. If he has to pass it, he will. But more than likely, he's probably going to score. And there's nothing you can do about it but watch it.
And it's the same thing with Nikola Jokic, the Joker. Yeah. It's the same thing with Trae Young, Ice Trae.
How about Dame time?
Of course. Yeah. If you need a last-second bucket and Damian Lillard is wide open, you better pass him the ball like that.
The whole point is we're not giving
you ain't winning that
Pascal.
game.
He's not getting a rock. So I think we made our point. Yeah.
On that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree there.
Yeah, on that point though, like, what the hell is Portland doing?
What are they doing? That's what I want to know.
Like, do you not realize you have a star player on your hands where it's like if Dame Lillard ends his career and he does not have a championship ring on his finger, That's going to be an absolute travesty.
But whose fault is it though? I mean, he decided he re-upped with them this
I
year.
mean, it's the same thing with Bradley Beal and the Wizards. Is that like he wants to win? If you want to win, why are you re-signing with a team that isn't built to win?
You know what he want to win? He want to win a sweepstakes. That's exactly why they keep re-signing with them, because they can get that money. And yeah, it made me scratch my head about Bill. Like, bro, you could have went anywhere, man. But this is like his third supermax with the Wizards. It's like
the Cavs are in need of a, I guess, better starting caliber shooting guard. He could have come to us, and we could get him a ring. Something that I've pointed out to Josh a few times, that I saw an article just before the All-Star game in Cleveland that Adam Silver himself, the commissioner of the NBA, said that the Cavs were building a super team the right way by drafting Garland, by drafting Okoro, by drafting Mobley, by trading for guys like Jarrett Allen, Ricky Rubio. We're building a super team the way it should be done, not by going after the big names in free agency, but by getting talent, or by farming talent, in a sense.
But let's be real, guys. Like, yeah, they're doing it the right way. But if this was a destination spot like a Miami, like a LA,
like a Golden State,
anywhere in Cali or Texas, we have a different discussion. But yeah, you have to do certain things. Mid-market teams in general, they got to build to the draft, make right free agency moves, not sign certain players as past their prime. They have to be smart, and that's what we're doing. So,
right, and that's the thing too. You know, you can think about this. Like, Kevin Durant requested a trade towards the end of June. He's still with Brooklyn at this point.
I don't think he's leaving. I don't think he's leaving.
Okay, but on one hand, as a Cavs fan, I would love to get Kevin Durant, because we haven't had a superstar.
Victoria, your order's ready at the bar. Victoria, your order's ready at the bar.
Somebody's order's ready at the bar. But look, I'll tell you this. I would not. I don't want Durant here. I like our team chemistry.
I like him as a player.
Cool.
Well, I like Durant as a player, but as an ego, do we really want that?
Well,
absolutely not.
Well, that's what I was getting at too, Jason, was like, on one hand, yes, I would love to have Kevin Durant, because we haven't had a player like a superstar caliber like him since LeBron.
Right.
But on the other hand, in order to acquire him, we would have to gut our team, whether that's giving up, like, for example, I'm not saying I want the Cavs to do this, but just for example, like, the Cavs would probably have to give up, like, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and other players, along with other players in picks.
Just for Durant? I was thinking something a little smaller, more along the lines of Sexton, Markkanen, and maybe a first. It gets rid of Markkanen, which I know you want.
That is true, but
it gives Brooklyn an at least somewhat star caliber player in Colin Sexton, and it gives them a first round pick to build off of in the future at the cost of, yes, Kevin Durant, but also at the cost of someone who doesn't want to play for Brooklyn.
Hey, the trade offer I would give Brooklyn, I would get a piece of paper and I would politely write, "No, thank you."
Okay.
I'm not getting rid of none of our young assets. Again, I understand Sexton and Okoro. Those are going to be the popular name. LeVert, be the popular name.
Terrence LeVert, yes.
But I mean, okay, if we get those players away, we get Durant here. Who's to say he won't be happy next year? Or hell, next month.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I'm
I
straight.
know what you mean. That we gotta keep the guys that we have, and we don't need big free agents.
I mean,
We've got a team that, despite all the odds, damn near made the playoffs last year. We were
Yeah.
projected to be dead last in the East, and
I
we
count the
finished.
play-in as the playoffs.
I do not, but
I'm kind of torn. On one hand, I counted the Blue Jackets 2020 play-in win versus Toronto as a playoff series win, because before that we only ever had one playoff series win. So if we count this one, now we got two.
hey, speaking of the Blue Jackets, just to go into hockey for a quick sec, because we were talking about how like Cleveland isn't perceived to be like a popular free agency destination. Columbus in the NHL.
Hey, welcome to Columbus, Johnny Gaudreau.
That's exactly where I was going with it. Columbus.
How did that small market team land the biggest name in free agency? It blows my mind.
That's exactly where I was going with it. Like Johnny
It
Gaudreau.
blows my mind.
Johnny Gaudreau is viewed as a star caliber player in the.
I'd even willing to go a step above and go all-star caliber.
Okay. Again, that whole thing's subjective, but
yeah.
At the very least, he's a star player. Can we agree
Yes.
on that, right?
Yes, I do agree on that.
Okay, so typically star players don't want to play in Columbus. So when
Artemi Panarin.
Right, Artemi Panarin, he got traded to Columbus and then decided, nope, I'm gonna.
Yeah, after about a season and a half, he decided he'd seen enough and went to a division rival in New York.
Correct, but that's
still mad.
That's my overall point, though. Is like star players don't typically want to come to small market teams like Cleveland in the NBA or
Columbus in the NHL.
Correct.
Because is there really anything we can offer them? Like amenities wise, outside of like, hey, you're going to be playing for a future playoff team. I say that in quotations because, like, if something happens and the team doesn't turn out as they were expected, that shit happens. Remember, the 2010 Chargers had the number one offense and the number one defense and still missed the playoffs.
That happens.
So things happen. The teams aren't always going to turn out the way that they look on paper. The 2012 Lakers are a massive example of that. They bring in Dwight Howard, they bring in Steve Nash, they bring in all these names, and what was it? First round exit in their first season.
Something like that, yeah.
Championships ain't won on paper, man. They won on the field, or on the rink, or on the court. So.
Yes, that's exactly the point I'm making here. Is like, yes, the team can look good on paper, but it could all be gone in an instant. All that hype, all that like, oh yeah, we're winning the championship, or all that could be gone in an instant if the team doesn't play well together.
That's right.
Or if injuries derail everything.
Yeah. It's also like, to even not look at regular season games, like there was a game last season, I think it was the Bengals and the Jets, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know the Bengals were going to turn into what they ended up being last season, but it felt like a mismatch still, where I'm like, oh, the Bengals should easily destroy the Jets, and New York ended up winning that game. I don't remember the final
score. The Jags versus the Bills, that game we watched, where Josh Allen sacked Josh Allen, like 3 times, picked him off twice, and the Jaguars somehow won that game, and not a single touchdown was scored between either team.
Yeah, it was 9-6, something like that.
That's also crazy that there are two Josh Allens in the NFL. They play different positions, and they played each other last season and got an on-field interaction.
Yeah. The game I'm talking about was from Week 8 last year. The Jets beat the Bengals at the Meadowlands, or actually, wait, my bad, MetLife Stadium, 34-31.
Yeah, and that was one of the few showings of like just how decent Zach Wilson could become.
Zach Wilson wasn't the quarterback for the Jets in that game, actually. It was, I believe it was Mike White.
Oh, that's right, because Zach Wilson got hurt.
Yes.
Now, did you guys hear about the recent news about the Brittany Griner latest, just say, trade that's going on with Russia and the United States?
I have been kind of keeping a close eye on that situation. I'm not quite sure what sort of exchange the U.S. is offering to Russia,
It's even
but
weird. It's weird, man.
because like if it's what it truly is, a prisoner exchange, does that mean that Russia does that mean the U.S. has a Russian prisoner in the
Well, I'm
U.S.?
sure they do. I'm sure they do. But it's still weird that this, for one, how is this even being news? Like, how is this leaking to the news? And then why is it a trade swap? Like, what the hell is that about?
I mean, that is how it often works in politics and
Yeah, you just never hear about it.
international relations and stuff. I think you're hearing more about it in this particular case because it is Brittany Griner, WNBA player, and everybody in the WNBA and various sports media talking heads and whatnot are talking about it, just like we are now. So
yes,
they're bringing the situation to light. I'm sure there are other situations like this that just aren't getting this type of attention. Whether that's
mostly because like it's not being covered by not only political media but sports media as well.
Correct. Whether that's right or wrong, that's all subjective, and we're not going to get into all that because we don't really love to talk about politics on this show unless something like this happens, or when Jay and I were talking about like the shootings that happened in Texas during the Western Conference Finals with the Mavericks and Warriors and all that. But in general, we don't really touch on politics too much.
Yeah, we leave politics and religion at home and talk about sports in the field.
Yep.
Exactly. So, all right. So we're going to start a new segment in anticipation of the NBA season tipping off in October. We talked about this yesterday on our planning meeting. So each week we're going to do some sort of top 10 list about either current players, all-time players, coaches, whatever. So I think today let's do. Well, what do you guys want to do for today?
Well, let's start with the thing that Jay wanted to talk about, which was all-time starting five.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm all for that.
All right, cool. All right, so I'll start. I got John Stockton at point guard. I've got Kobe Bryant at shooting guard. He's one of my all-time favorite players, so I can't leave him out. Small forward. Small forward's hard. I could go LeBron. I kind of want to go MJ on this one. I feel like he could play the three.
Small forward.
You can put MJ at the three. I've seen a lot of people do that.
I want to hear this lineup.
Actually, no, I'll go with LeBron on this one. I gotta go LeBron on that one.
Interesting.
I'll have MJ as my sixth man.
Wow. Okay.
MJ off the bench?
That's interesting. Who's your
I
power forward? Who's your power forward? Keep
yeah,
this
I
going.
need to see who's at the 4 here.
Easy. Tim Duncan.
Okay.
I
And
can see
who your
that. I can see
center?
that. I can see that.
And center, Shaq.
Okay. That's
All right.
fair.
All right, here's mine. At point guard, as much as I do not like this guy, Steph Curry. Greatest point guard of all time. Shooting guard, I'm gonna put MJ. I'm putting Jordan.
That's the right move.
At small forward, give me LeBron. He's just incredible. At my power forward, I'm going to put. It's a toss-up between Duncan and Garnett, but I think Duncan is the man you should put at the 4. And at the 5, and this is going to surprise a lot of people, Hakeem Olajuwon. Give me the dream.
That's
Give me
feel that.
Hakeem the dream.
That's
actually, yeah, that's something I was actually going to. I'm going to use Hakeem, but I'm going to tell you how. So, of course, you got to have the greatest point guard ever, which is Magic Johnson. So, he's my number 1. I'm going to have, of course, Michael Jordan. Like, that's a no-brainer. So, that's number 2. Number 3, I will have LeBron as my 3.
So we all agree on that one.
Now, this is when it gets real interesting. So, my power forward, I'm actually going to have Hakeem go to a stretch 4, right? Because
really,
he's quick, he's athletic, he has a jumper, and I know it's a lot of power forwards. I couldn't even check his ass, so I'll have him go to the 4, and then with the 5, I was thinking between Abdul-Jabbar and Shaq. I'm gonna go with Shaq.
Okay.
So I think my team will run anybody's team ever alive.
All right.
Oh yeah,
So-
no, I could definitely agree there.
So we all gave our starting 5. I gave my 6th man, Jordan. Give me your 6th man.
Kobe.
My 6th man.
No. I take that back. Larry Legend, Larry Bird.
Okay. So you got Bird as your 6th man. I got Kobe or Jordan. Who's your 6th man, C-Boss?
Give me Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
All right.
Now think about this, because when our 6th man, we're thinking about late 3rd quarters, right? Probably possibly closing out the 4th. Your big man is in foul trouble, so Shaq probably ain't shooting free throws. I think if Larry Bird comes in my system, we're still running everybody.
If I need a quick score late, ain't nobody beating Kareem Skyhook.
Hey, if Kobe's somehow struggling late in the 3rd quarter, I got Jordan to come in off the bench. I will say this. It was close between Jordan and Kobe for me, like who's starting.
Because I also saw you contemplating putting Jordan at the 3 over to LeBron.
That's bizarre. Yeah.
Which I could definitely see how because I always saw Jordan as a 2-3 kind of guy. Like he's primarily the 2, but he can play the 3 at any given moment.
The other guy I was thinking about for my 6th man from the Bad Boy Pistons, Isaiah Thomas.
I had a few options for my 6th man. Obviously, I went with Kareem, but if I wanted to, I could have easily put Shaq in that position or Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. I could have even went further back and brought Bill Russell into the conversation or Wilt Chamberlain. I just went with Kareem because if I need a quick late score, if I'm down by 1 or the game is tied and I need that quick score that ain't no one stopping, give me Kareem Skyhook.
That is true. That's the thing with these types of top 10 lists. It's all subjective. I wouldn't say anybody's wrong. I wouldn't say anybody's necessarily right. It's
all based on what your thoughts are and what your thinking process is in this situation.
And not
until someone brings something to your, bring awareness to you as far as certain lineup or matchups and certain probabilities and stuff, then that's when it gets real fun.
Right.
Yeah.
And to add on to your point, Chris, not everybody's criteria is going to be the same for like what makes a top 10 player. My criteria isn't going to be the same as yours. My criteria isn't going to be the same as yours. Like,
It's true.
Exactly.
For me, I have Jordan as the GOAT, but it's not because of his championships. Although, let me say it like this. The championships are a factor, but for me, they're not the primary factor.
I never saw championships as like a status of greatest of all time. Like everyone just boils it down to, oh, this guy has more rings than this guy. Yeah, well, the guy with less rings has better stats and had more longevity in the league than the guy you're touting as the GOAT because that guy had more rings.
Right. Like for me, even though I didn't get to like actually watch Jordan because I was a late '90s kid.
Yeah, we got to watch the Wizards version of Jordan.
Yes, but
nobody talks about the Wizards version of Jordan.
That's in the Chicago Bulls.
But that's version. No, but Chris, you just hit it right on the head. Like when you think of Michael Jordan, you don't think of him in the Washington Wizards jersey.
A lot of people still don't know that he played for the Wizards. A lot of people think that he retired a Bull.
But again, that's my point. Like, we automatically associate Jordan with the Chicago Bulls. I think if you want, I get it. He played with the Washington Wizards, but that was later in his career. So if you want to, I think if you want to say that Jordan essentially only played for one team, that's fine to say.
It's not the whole it has some truth. It has some truth to it, but it's not the whole truth. It's like a stretching the truth kind of thing.
Right.
I think he played 2 years with the Wizards, so yeah, you can't.
Yeah, true.
What's real is real.
Yeah,
if he'd played one more year, he would have gotten to play against LeBron.
But again, overall, people don't associate Jordan with the Washington Wizards.
Right.
People associate Jordan with the Chicago Bulls. So that's why I have him as the GOAT. He wasn't a team hopper, whereas like with LeBron, I get most people I think are going to associate him with the Cleveland Cavaliers, but he went Cavaliers, Heat, Cavaliers, and now the Lakers.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people starting to really associate him with the Lakers over the Cavs, and I'm just like, we drafted him.
If you want to make an argument,
I don't see that happening. Because it's a lot of people it's a lot of Laker fans that don't accept.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely. Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of people that even though he did get a ring for them, a lot of Lakers fans just don't think of LeBron as a Laker. And
never will.
I'm even gonna put this hot take out there. LeBron's not gonna get his jersey retired by the Lakers.
I don't know about that. I think he will get retired. He did win a ring with them, though, at the end of the day. I think he'll be the only player to get his jersey retired by 3 separate teams that he's played for.
I could see.
Yes.
I think it depends on how long he plays with the Lakers. I also
think that once LeBron retires...
Another season 4 coming up, so...
Yeah. I think once LeBron retires from basketball, I think the NBA is finally going to just retire 23 altogether.
In fact, if you think about this, look, he's about to play the same amount of seasons he played with the Lakers that he played with the Heat. I'm sure people realize
that is true. That is true.
That is true. I'll give you that argument, Jay. But here's
no, he just played his 4th season with the Lakers because it was 2018-19, 2019-20, 2 seasons ago, and then last season. So, yeah, he's going into his 5th season with the Lakers. He's going to play more seasons for the Lakers than he did for the Heat.
But in that time, think about it. Like, yeah, he went to the playoffs in 2021, but the Lakers got bounced out by the Suns.
In the first round, which was the first time LeBron had ever been eliminated in the first round.
Right. And you think about this too, like not a lot of, I don't know if a lot of people like give the Lakers full credit for that 2020 championship
The bubblegum
because
stamps.
exactly. And we actually got a question here from Daniel Unger. Do you guys think that LeBron will play with his son in his very last year in Cleveland?
It's looking
That
like it
is an
might happen.
interesting question. I would like it to happen. I think it would be a great bookend to his career, playing for the team that drafted him alongside his son. Not many players get to play alongside their son, if any. I think the only time I could ever think of that happening was Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr. in Seattle.
Right.
That's the only time I can think of it happening.
And my question would be, how do we know that the Cavs specifically would get him? But I like the way he's thinking. It's possible, man. I mean, honestly, I see about 2 to 3 more top tier years left of LeBron.
Like he says, he wants to go like 5 or 6. I don't know if any player could last or 5 or 6 more years at LeBron's age, other than LeBron James.
Right.
Yeah.
He on another level.
He's built different.
So is Tom Brady.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know any hockey player that can make it to the age LeBron is at, let alone the age Tom Brady is at.
Well, I mean, there's one current player, but he's over in Europe, but he's been playing for the longest time, and I think you know who I'm mentioning.
Yes, I do, but I'm talking about current NHL players.
Didn't Brett Hall? Didn't he play 18 years or something, 20 years, close to it?
Jaromir Jagr? Yes, he did play.
Yeah.
He played in the NHL from about maybe late 80s to just about 2017 in the NHL.
Something like that, yeah.
Because his last team was the Calgary Flames, and not many people knew that he played the first year of the Adidas brand, which, by the way, after the 2023-24 season, Adidas is gone from the NHL. They announced it this morning that after that season, their brand deal is done, and that the NHL is going to have to find another new jersey designer, which could open the door for CCM. It could open the door for Nike or any other number of brands.
Right, or the company that designed the new attire for the UFC. I think it's Venom.
I don't think they would do hockey. They're mostly for fighting gear. They're mostly designers for fighting gear.
True.
I ain't rocking no Venoms. I ain't rocking no Venoms, chick.
Hey, speaking of fighting,
I like the shorts that they came out with for the UFC. They look clean.
Hey, speaking of the UFC, we got a pay-per-view this weekend. UFC 277 from American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. The main event is for the Women's Bantamweight Championship.
That's going to be good.
And it's a rematch from the co-main event of UFC 269 between Amanda Nunes and the woman who finally dethroned her, Juliana Pena.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a fight for the interim flyweight title between Brandon Moreno and Kai Kara France.
Which is also a rematch.
Hey, Josh, speaking of interim titles, don't we have something new to report on in the world of AEW?
What? Oh!
On August 10th.
Oh, that's right.
Jon Moxley is defending his interim AEW title against the man who the Blackpool Combat Club hates the most, Chris Jericho.
The champion. Or, I'm sorry, his current character is the Wizard, and he likes to throw fireballs in people's faces.
Or he could bring out the Painmaker.
Except Moxley specifically said he wants the Lionheart from like Jericho's early years.
Yes, I have definitely seen that he does want Lionheart Jericho, which I'm interested to see how he could adapt the character.
Correct. That match will be taking place at a TV special called Quake by the Lake at Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And then the next pay-per-view we have for AEW is All Out. That'll be September 4th from the Now Arena in Chicago.
Which is where the AHL's Chicago Wolves play.
Correct.
Calder Cup champions.
Yes. That's it for the world of wrestling. We're not going to get into it too much.
Yes.
Because, again, our primary focus on this show is the NBA and the NFL, but we like to touch on every sport. So,
yes,
we like to diversify ourselves. That's how we'll say it.
Well, yes, that is true.
We're almost close to that time too. So
we are almost out of time. We got about less than 15 minutes because This is the first episode where we're going an hour and a half. That's going to be our new standard moving forward.
Well, I'm honored to be a part of that new time schedule.
Yes, for those of you who are just tuning in, this is Chris's first episode on the Sports Generals.
Yes, this is my debut.
Yes, when I posted about it on my Facebook page, I said and made the description for this StreamYard to post on the So What's the Catch Facebook page. I didn't give away Chris's name. I said like a mystery third host. There he is.
Oh.
Hi. Now, let's get back on topic now. So
back to sports ball.
Yeah, let's get back to
it.
Let's get back to it.
All right. So we kind of talked about this on our dry run yesterday because we wanted to make sure our chemistry was still there. But we did talk about this. Kansas City's going to be a very interesting team this season because they stupidly traded Tyreek Hill.
And Juju Smith-Schuster is not exactly the same.
No, and neither is MVS, Martez Valdez-Scantling. So, I don't know what to make of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Do they make the playoffs? It's a debate.
It's looking like the AFC West in general is probably one of the strongest divisions in football. AFC North and the AFC West.
Got so much better. And the AFC West just got so much better, Russell Wilson to the Broncos. The Raiders getting Devontae Adams, which could help elevate Derek Carr in a way.
Hey, don't forget with the Raiders, they also brought in Josh McDaniels to be their new head coach, which that could make a world of difference for Derek Carr.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
And don't sleep on the Chargers. They brought in J.C. Jackson, one of the top cornerbacks in the NFL, and they also traded for Khalil Mack to pair with Joey Bosa. If I'm an offensive lineman, I'm like, I don't want to face Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. I'm just going to go over in the corner and hide.
There's turnovers waiting to happen. And the closer you give field to Justin Herbert, they're going to punch it right on in. So,
because he's got
the favorite easily out of the AFC West, but then I got the Broncos right behind them. If not, they may split hairs and hairs.
Correct. And just a quick update, Red Sox have runners on first and second, 1 out. It is still 1-0 Guardians.
All right. What's the inning?
Bottom of the 6th inning.
Okay.
So if anything happens, I will let you know. But anyway, back to your regularly scheduled program. So anyway, yeah, with the AFC is going to be way more interesting than the NFC. I feel like with the NFC, we basically know who the contenders are. It's San Francisco, or I don't know if it's San Francisco actually, but it's the Rams. You still got to say the Packers are contenders because they still have Aaron Rodgers. It's, I guess, Dallas. I don't know if you really consider the Cowboys a contender, though, because they always seem to fall short, or based on what happened last year, they forget how to tell time.
And then I guess if anything, I think AJ Brown went to
Philly.
Yes, I think AJ Brown to Philadelphia might help Jalen Hurts a little because let's be real here, he didn't have much wide receiver help.
No, but the Eagles I wouldn't say the Eagles were a legitimate threat even when they got into the playoffs last year. I mean, Chris, you and I watched that playoff game between the Eagles and Buccaneers.
Yeah, no, it was a scientific dissection of the Eagles led by Dr. Brady.
Right. I think for most of that game, we ended up playing on our phones because the game was just not interesting to watch.
It just wasn't. And that kind of stuff kind of can derail or can demoralize a team.
Xander Bogaerts just hit a 3-run home run, and Boston takes a 3-1 lead over the Guardians.
Man, it's wild.
Yeah, I know.
It's wild. But, yeah, but back to what you guys were saying, it was a lot of off-season moves that might have went under the radar, but it's going to be very interesting, and I believe the Hall of Fame game is, next 2 weeks or so? If not next week?
Yeah, it's August 4th. It's going to be the Jaguars and the Raiders.
Oh, I mean, I don't even care that's the Jaguars. It's like, I still want to watch it.
Right. Yeah, it's the Hall of Fame game. Everyone, I think a lot of people watch it because they've been missing football for so long that they're just like, I don't care what teams are playing, give me football.
Yeah, so it's like the start of the season.
So let me ask you this. Do you think Maurice Jones-Drew, longtime running back for the Jaguars, will he ever get in the Hall of Fame?
Ooh.
Not the Hall of Fame. He should get in the Jaguars Ring of Honor, probably, but not the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
It's a no for me, dog.
Is he their all-time leading rusher is the question.
I think Fred Taylor is.
I would think Fred Taylor is.
I'm gonna say no, just because you have to at least, because under some criteria for Hall of Fame, you have to at least be the primary stat leader for your team.
But there would now if we're talking about fantasy football Hall of Fame, hell yeah.
Oh yeah. No, if you are going up against someone with Maurice Jones-Drew in fantasy back in 2012, 2013, you might as well wave that white flag because it's over.
Yeah, he can catch on receiving and on rushing. So.
Oh yeah, if you put him in your flex, you're getting easy 60 points out of him.
Oh, by the way, hey Chris, who won our fantasy football league in its first year?
Josh did. He beat me in the finals because I stupidly put Antonio Brown over Jamar Chase. The one game Jamar Chase decided to catch fire.
God, not that one. Because I played him, and I'll tell y'all this. Not only did I win a championship, I was the Avon Barksdale. What an honor to be a part of that team. But we had a bye week. I won a title. And I would have won a title in the second league, but there was just a glitch that ESPN we had to get involved with, and it didn't go my way. But hey, I can't wait for this year, Job.
Oh yeah, that would be fun if we had our own fantasy league.
Although I think, this was also, by the way, for the people watching at home, this was the game that I decided to put Antonio Brown in. That was the game he quit on his team.
Oh,
Hey,
boy.
we got another question. Guys, I think I would like to hear your take on the Cleveland quarterback situation. The season is coming up pretty quick here, and what's going to happen? Well, I believe Kevin Stefanski already said that if Deshaun Watson is suspended, Jacoby Brissett is going to be the starting quarterback, which
Which, if it's a 4 to 6 game stretch, that's not much of a problem. We can start off our season with Jacoby. I think Josh, you said like our first 4 weeks could be easy wins for Jacoby Brissett.
right.
And then have Deshaun come back, and then, well, magic.
Yeah.
I think we'd be hopeful though that 4 to 6 is not guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed.
We kind of already knew this coming into the season, that we knew he was going to be suspended. We knew he was going to miss some games. It was just a matter of how much. But if it's only 4 to 6, sign me up for that, because Jacoby Brissett can at least win. He can at least go. Let's say it's 8 games, right? He can at least go 5-3.
Right.
Easy.
So
I'd agree there. I think we're actually going to start off this season, the first 4 weeks, 4-0, because like the Panthers.
I hope you're right on this one.
What is Baker Mayfield going to do? Finally throw to a Browns player?
That's
Right.
cheap.
Yeah.
That's cheap.
like
Week 2, the Jets. It's the Jets.
Yeah, but they saying that I don't know where this is coming from, but their quarterback is a dark horse to potentially have like a breakout MVP season. I don't believe that. But
Wait a minute. Stop.
Just the Jets.
Let me stop. Wait a minute.
Zach Wilson is nowhere near MVP caliber
Absolutely
yet.
not.
Let
I
me
agree
stop
with
you right there, Jason. You're hearing that Zach Wilson is a dark horse candidate to
Man, I don't know where the hell this is even
win
coming from.
MVP?
Yeah, it feel like it's coming from Mike Green's camp. It really do. But yeah, man, it's weird. The Jets is gonna jet. It's just a matter of which week they jets it.
Yes.
It's just one of those things.
I love this comment. Chris, that was really funny. Is Baker finally going to throw to a Browns player? That was hilarious.
Yes, thank you. That I've been saving that one for a bit.
I can tell you were sitting on that one. So
and
and then
I don't think he's gonna be the starter though. I don't
then who do we play week 3? Isn't that Pittsburgh?
yes, that is the Pittsburgh Squealers.
If it were Big Ben, I'd say we'd take the L on that one, but I don't even think they know who their starting quarterback is.
No,
Who's it going to be? Mason Rudolph? A rookie with tiny hands?
Run and win.
And then who's the other guy? I forget his name.
Mitch Trubisky.
Ah, yes. The MVP. The Nickelodeon valuable player.
Yes.
City fan favorite though. He is from Cleveland.
He is from Cleveland, but I don't think that
Hell no, it's not happening.
he's not as good as people think he is. Like,
just because he sat behind Josh Allen, that don't mean he's
Josh
Allen.
And also at that, when he did lead the Bears to the playoff twice.
No, that was their defense.
Exactly, it was all defense. They had Khalil Mack.
Correct.
And a bunch of other pieces.
So I'll give you the first 6 games just on the basis that Deshaun suspended 4 to 6 games. We're gonna go with that for now. So it's at Carolina,
win,
home against the Jets, which I predicted the home opener would be against the Jets.
He did. He called it. I was there when he called it.
I had been predicting that right from the damn start. So
I was there when he called it in, and when the schedule was revealed and it got revealed that the home opener was against the Jets, I was there with him, and the look on his face was priceless.
I witnessed it too, and I heard The facial expression that he had, and I heard the. I told y'all I knew what I was talking about.
Hey, I don't mess around when it comes to schedule analysis.
That is true. That is true.
Week 3 we get the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Easy win.
But
Well, not easy win, but still, we're gonna win that one.
Week 4 at Atlanta. The Falcons just named Marcus Mariota their starting quarterback.
Damn, they don't got Matt Ryan. I keep forgetting that. Yeah.
Such is the Falcons' way. They know how to lose.
Yep. Week 5, home against Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers.
Yeah, we're most likely, if we don't have Deshaun Watson for that game, we're most likely losing. Unless Jacoby Brissett suddenly turns into the second coming of Tom Brady.
And then week 6, home against New England. I know the Patriots don't have an offensive coordinator because they're just not doing that, but we seem to always have trouble with the Patriots anyway, so I'm going to personally say
the last time we beat them was what, 2010?
Yes. So,
and that was because Peyton Hill has decided to have a monster game.
Correct. We will do a proper schedule prediction show closer to the start of the NFL season, so don't worry about that. But we are just about out of time here on today's episode of the Sports Channels. But before we go, make sure if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the Sports Channels on YouTube. We air live on the So What's the Catch Facebook page every Thursday night from 7:30 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm not going to try and do that in Mountain Time and Central Time, Pacific Time.
Thank you.
It would be 10 o'clock, or it would be 8 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Mountain, 6 o'clock Pacific.
They could figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. That was a great show, guys. Thanks.
Hey. You're welcome.
So, before we go, Chris, how was your first episode?
I liked it. I think this is I think we can take this in interesting places. And I think that, hey, if we keep this up, we could be something in the sports world.
I love the mentality. All right, that's going to do things. We will see you on the next episode.
Peace.